All right, gentlemen, ladies and gents, please go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. By the way, I'm Gary Jackson with CGI Federal. We love this group. We actually felt like we were lost in the wilderness by ourselves until we found all of you suffering with us. So we just want to say thanks for suffering alongside of us. As you know, blockchain and federal are like oil and water. I mean, they just completely go against each other in some ways, and it's been a little bit of crazy. So I'm pretty honored to have my entire team on this call as well. So we're not going to blind everybody with PowerPoints. We are going to do a little bit of an overview and then kind of throw right into a demo. But before I do that, I wanted to kind of throw it to my team. So the first people I wanted to kind of introduce, other than myself, is Shabman Hussain. Shabman, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, Shadman Hussain here. I think I do know some folks on this call. I've been part of GBA, so I know Gerard, and I think I met Sandy at the ACT-IAC conference, the one that happened a few months back. So just honored to be here. I'm basically a developer, just making this stuff real. I was at Leidos as a lead blockchain architect, working on their army modernization supply chain. And so I've been at CGI over a year and a half, and I've been just honored because CGI has empowered me to, allow me to introduce some of the crazy ideas, and they've always supported me to make it happen. And then getting the team, getting talented folks like Gary, Carr, and Hannah, and everybody around me to make this happen. So I'm really excited to just share the vision and what we've built. Yeah. I'll pass it on to I think Kenny's on the call.
Yeah.
Hey, Rida Kenny. I've been part of the CGI team for this particular team for about 2 years now. I lead the product development and marketing effort for our product.
Great to have you on, Kenny. And then I guess the next person would be Hannah. Are you there? She not on? Carr, are you there?
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah. And by the way, his name's Thomas. We call him Carr because we have two Thomases. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm being rude. But anyway, go ahead, Thomas.
Everyone else can call me Thomas.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Thomas Carr, been with CGI for coming in at a year, mostly focusing on web app development and sort of building some of the user interfaces for some of what we've been doing, and done a lot of work in digital identity for the last few months.
Yeah, so which kind of leads us into what we're going to be presenting today. One of the things that we've kind of encountered that we're glad to be part of this group is just trying to get that engagement, how to onboard federal customers. And then the other thing that we've been looking at is how to collaborate. One of the biggest issues that we found is that was kind of the stopping, the roadblock for all of us is mutual, MOU, creating that mutual understanding document so different agencies can kind of collaborate. But we wanted to go a little bit further than that. There's a way that you can actually have a mutual understanding and be able to collaborate. But if I have something that's really cool, like an asset, and we don't mean just data, but if I wanted to be able to share an algorithm, or if I have a visualization or any kind of a metaverse object that I want to share, can I share that across agency lines, or can I share that with my commercial partners? And now we can mix and match and put those things together. Those are some of kind of our mandates to be able to create this, and that's what created what we call CGI IDEA. CGI IDEA really represents immutable digital exchange and analytics. We're trying to create like an immutable asset pipeline that we can share stuff backwards and forwards, multi-chain, private chain, and open, public chain. And so that's kind of where the idea came from, no pun intended. And by the way, my team, please count how many times I say the word idea, so we'll have shots at the end of the day, how many times I've used that. We always do a shot competition if someone says the same word over and over. But before I get started, some of you have probably thought, well, CGI, isn't that the computer graphics company that every time I watch a Marvel movie, that's what you do? No, unfortunately, that would be cool. We're partnering with Michael Bay, the film director, for some of our projects, but no, we're not that CGI. We're based out of our original mothership is based out of Montreal, Canada. Think of us as this is so funny, kind of like the IBM Canadian version, which means we're nicer. Just kidding to my IBM friends. But we're basically a consulting service that came out, and then we spun off the CGI Federal side, which is American-owned, American-based, based out of Fairfax, Virginia. We were founded in 1976, blah, 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 48 years of growth. We're generating revenue. We're actually hiring right now because we're pretty much we're super slammed with some of the work that we're doing. So we're definitely where other people are trying to lay off. We're desperately trying to bring people on because some of the opportunities, and we focus on high-end business consulting, system integration, the typical stuff that's there. We've got about 7,000 employees and growing, specifically for CGI Federal, and all the marketing stuff. Our customers love us. And then the other thing is that use 95% on budget, on delivery time, that type of thing. Where we're kind of focused on is some of our existing customers and the mission successes. And let me also put that into context. Mission. One of the things that we wanted to make sure when we were building this out is we have people, I have family and friends who are deployed. I have family and friends, which I'm going to be talking about, that is suffering because of what's happening in Ukraine. And then we have other people that work, for our police and police enforcement and that type of thing. Our goal is the mission. We really want to focus on how do we make sure that mission success is always critical in those times. And some of the things that we're working on, Christine, who's on the call listening, giving us support, she runs our cyber practice, so cybersecurity. We're focusing on if you've got a passport, that is us. Every time you get a passport issued, we're actually the back end piece of that. So I heard someone was from the State Department. We're the ones that's actually doing the hard work of making those ID cards and making the passport books and that type of work. So some of the stuff you didn't know that CGI was doing, that's kind of where we're doing. And our offices, I'm actually based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. It's a brand new office that we've opened up. It's right downtown. If you ever get bored or if you're just tired of where you are, would love to introduce you and bring you down to the Smoky Mountains. And I'd love to show you around for our new office. The other offices, our headquarters is, of course, in Fairfax. We also have a delivery center in Belton, Texas, and Lafayette, Louisiana. So with all the marketing and the preamble out of the way, let's get busy. So what we're going to talk about a little bit, we want to kind of give an overview of what we built and why we built it. We're going to go straight into a demo, show you an example of a demo, especially our partnership with several universities that we're building out, and then show you some opportunities where you can maybe meet us in person. We have several conferences that we're going to be speaking at and demoing, and we'd love to meet you in person. Zoom is cool, Teams video is good, but there's nothing like shaking hands and then putting hand sanitizer on afterwards. It's something about that personal touch. It means more to us. So we'd love to have you meet us and see if we can collaborate. And then we'll do a little bit of Q&A. So our focus for IDEA is to create a Web3 framework, federally focused. That was one of our big goals. I think all of us have been in this blockchain space for a couple of years or another. And what we've learned a lot over that time. We spent a lot of money. We spent as Kenny was talking about, he's been with this for probably since the beginning, and all of that investment and all that work, we made a lot of mistakes. And one of the things that we wanted to focus in on for our customers and our frenemies and our partners, everybody kind of combined together, is learn from our mistakes. You don't have to build everything from scratch and start all over every time. So we've created out this framework. And what our framework kind of consists of is the normal. You have your on-chain, off-chain data coordination, key management, encrypted contents, all of those pieces. But then we opened it up. We want to build alongside of everybody that's on this call. We have a module component where we can actually build modules together and kind of put it into our Web3 framework. We have a DApp market where if you have a certain solution that you want to build out, we have DApps that you can kind of deploy out there. And we're also blockchain agnostic. So our goal is if you are, If you have a private blockchain, a permission blockchain that you've created out, we have the APIs and microservices that we can use. And there's a reason for that we'll kind of show out there. So I'm going to kind of go into deeper details on those 1, 2, 3 modules, the app marketplace, and the blockchains, which basically brings us the assets and that connectivity. So we started on building two. We have multiple modules that we're working on, but the two that we'd like to reveal today. One is called identity. And identity is more than just basically trying to get a username and password, and then you get a text in this multi-factor authenticator. We want to make sure that you are a real person. There has to be a Luke Skywalker to every R2D2. Everything has to be linked. We focus on chain of custody. So proof of humanity is our key component that opens the door to get into our system. And how we do that is we've built out kind of a credential system that links to wallet addresses and that type. So it links those two together, then onboards you. But it also creates this kind of digital signature for you that everything you touch and everything you introduce into the environment is traceable back to a physical human being, part of an organization or a department. That identity module is key. And we also want to just put out there, these modules that we're building out, do you have to buy the entire system or use the entire system to work? No, we put this module out there so you can use it just as a one-off if you want to. And we're also not trying to get away from the traditional way of authentication, but we do want to make sure that we bring in this way from onboarding to make sure that you really are who you say you are. And then there's a second component that we have called Beacon. It's a blockchain-enabled access control. We feel really, really strongly that just doing, hey, you have permission, mother may I, is not going to work all the time. And what we mean by that is the logic of, I have permission, you're denied permission, that logic can get really, really, really heavy, performance heavy. So we built out a module that allows us to be able to kind of unlock doors using different kind of credentials and NFTs and that type of thing. And that's one of the things that we're kind of very proud of, and that we'll kind of show you how that works as we go through this. So there's identity as a module, and then there's Beacon. And we open up our microservices and APIs for our other federal customers and partners out there to kind of build stuff alongside of us as well. So we have a DApp marketplace that we've created, and we've got about 4 DApps that we've created. One that we've really focused in on is called Navigate. Navigate, you can think of it as Netscape 1999. What we wanted to do is create a browser that allowed us to be able to look across multiple blockchains and see assets from all those blockchains if, based on proof of humanity and the credentials that you have the rights to see it. We wanted to make sure you could traverse multi-chain, be able to look at these assets, be able to collaborate around these assets. There's a creator and a consumer side to this as well. So it's an exchange. That's really where an asset pipeline, immutable asset pipeline, really connects. But then we've created some other template ones just to give all of you ideas that you could build things alongside of us. So we have a steg analysis DApp that allows us to look at images. One of the things that we're trying to prevent is the sharing of information outside. And you can see a lot of people are sharing memes and images. I know that recently there was someone who was sharing top secret information by just taking a picture of him with his dogs on a park bench in DC, but then embedding secret information, top secret information into that. So we built the DApp to be able to kind of decipher, pull that information, publish it as an asset for a group of people that have intelligent or security privileges to be able to do that, to be able to work on that. We have a Recognize app that we're currently working on, but that will be debuting if you're going to be around at the Space Symposium in April. It's basically looking at image manipulation, especially as satellite images are being beamed down via radio frequency or laser to ground stations. Sometimes they can be intercepted and changed and modified. We want to detect that change and make sure that that does not happen. And then last but not least is just a drone geo-reference, being able to take drone information, take GPS coordinates, and be able to kind of pull out that imagery information to make sure, okay, is there anything that we're detecting that wasn't in the original plans and that type of thing. But again, these are just templates that we hope that you can take and use and build your own DApps around. And we'll kind of show you how some of those work as we go through this. Blockchains. So we're agnostic, and there's a lot of blockchains out there, but I'll be very honest, the ones that we kind of turn on immediately when we set up the system is Ethereum and Polygon as a basically an open and public blockchain. That's where we kind of gravitate to from an open and public. But we do link to, of course, Constellation, Cardano, anyone that you know that's out there. We've worked with them all. But on the private side, we actually have our own proprietary private one. And it's called Secure Data Fabric. Secure Data Fabric is focused on intelligence, military, blockchain. If you really want to make sure it's locked down, what's nice about that too is that it's one of those things we can deploy very, very quickly. And then on the commercial side for CGI Federal, we have one called Trusted Fabric. Trusted Fabric is mostly focused on healthcare information and assets exchange. It's a private proprietary blockchain. But then let's just say you build something on your own and you want to have your own. We buy out of the box, you can actually use Hyperledger Fabric and go right into and create your own permissioned private blockchain, and we can kind of connect to it. But if you have another one we haven't even heard of, awesome. Please let us know. We've got some APIs, microservices. We'd love to be able to use those as well. So with that being said, I was going to jump right into the demo because I know our time is very sacred here. Is there any questions or anything that the team would like to say as I'm jumping into the demo that maybe I left out? Kenny or Shadman?
No, I think there are some questions in the chat, and we'll address them. And if we don't, we will reach out to you and email you or something.
Perfect. So I'm going to switch over here to my phone and then also be able to put myself on. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did was we wanted to make sure that proof of humanity piece. So we're doing a lot of collaboration with multiple universities. So we have a team, but as you know, as building anything, a team is only so good. We're pretty strapped, all of us. So we've really been collaborating with the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, where I'm based. And then we've been working with George Mason University, where Shadman and the rest of the team is based. We're also in March 2023, we'll be working with NYU as well. So there's multiple universities that we're partnering up with. And as multiple universities we're partnering up with, they're actually using our solution to collaborate together as well. One of the ways we're doing is we built out a DeSci marketplace, a decentralized science marketplace. So assets and research can be shared between them, but the IP is locked to that university, which we're kind of excited about. So they're building alongside of us, but they're also using our tool while they're building, which we're kind of proud of. So to get this thing started, the first thing I need to be able to do is I need to be able to pass my credentials into the system to onboard me. And you heard it right. We're getting away from usernames and passwords. I want to own my credentials here. So we've created this credential kind of wallet system that we built out, which is our identity module. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to I've created a student identifier for myself. I'm going to log in using that. I'm using right now Microsoft Authenticator, but we also using Matter as well. There's Polygon ID. There's multiple variations of what I'm showing here. I'm just showing a very basic version from this, but I'm going to log into the system and I'm going to make sure I get to, hopefully you can see my screen. Let me get this, get the QR code. There we go. Hold on. Let me log in.
Gary, excuse me, this is Dr. Ann. Are you supposed to be showing on the main screen? Because I'm seeing it on the side screen.
So you'll see that I have two videos. So I have my face video, and I'll pin my face video. So that way maybe you can, is someone made me a spotlight maybe? So you'll see me, I'm here. And then I share my mobile phone, which is here. And then I'm showing my computer screen, which is my shared screen. Do you see that?
Okay, I didn't know if you needed your mobile screen to be the center screen, so I'm not seeing that. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
Well, it's the screen sharing. You're sharing your screen, the UK beaconoff.com screen. That's what you're sharing. So people that don't have your video as the main screen aren't seeing everything that you're showing on your.
Yeah,
your-
so
your
whoever
screen.
is the kind of the overseer of this video, you can just click on my pane of my, so let me just show my face. You can put me a spotlight and you'll see both of the screens as I share. So whoever can make me spotlight on the, all you have to do is right click on the pane, whoever has admin rights, and then that way everybody can kind of see. But by the way, after I authenticate in, then there's no real reason to show the mobile phone. I just wanted to show that this was real, that we're moving towards a decentralized login where I own my credentials. Every time someone wants to use my credentials, I get asked. I'm giving permission instead of having a username password stuck in a centralized database, and then that could be hacked or modified or changed in some way. There's no way when I am in control of that. And that's kind of what I'm showing off with using this mobile device that's here. But
I just wanted to add one more thing,
Yeah,
Gary.
please go ahead, Jim.
The benefits of this, right? This is not only is it faster, you don't have to keep, your username, password in mind and change it every 6 months, but it's also more secure. So faster, more secure, and so in some ways, this is superior than email, password, and other forms of authentication.
That's
Go ahead,
correct.
Gary.
Yeah, so what I'm doing right now is I'm actually passed my credentials to this identity module. I'm going to share that application. It's being passed over to it. And what you're going to see is it's rendering using my credentials to see what kind of D apps I can see. And then from that, when I go into one of my D apps, it also shows me what assets I can see. In this case, because we're working with the university, all those D apps I talked about previously, they're not available to me because I'm a student. I don't need to do geo reference. The recognized app is not available to me. So, but I do have two. I have Navigate, and then I have the steg analysis application. And what we're doing here is these D apps allow us to be able to publish things to the blockchain that I can actually input and output to. And everything is traceable. Chain of custody is the key here. So one thing that we try to make sure is very clear to our customers, this is immutable. So whatever modifications, changes, whatever you do, it is on the blockchain forever. Whether it's a private blockchain or a public one, it is out there to be traced out, to be able to see what you're doing and how you're interacting with it. What I'll do is I'll show you the template one that we have, and then I'll go deeper onto the Navigate one. But the template one we have is for the steg analysis. Steg analysis just allows us to be able to take an image, break that image into different layers and be able to look for information that we may not have been able to detect before. So for example, I'm going to upload an image here that's just, it could be a meme, a lot of the social media stuff, or it can just be a regular picture. And as I look at that, it looks just like regular. But if I start breaking this into different layers and then being able to browse the bit planes, you can see that someone has embedded top secret redacted information into this image. And so now you can see you wouldn't have seen it with the naked eye, but stripping through those layers, I can actually export this information, publish it as an asset onto our private blockchain, and be able to look at that with my intelligence analysts alongside of me in a private, secure setting. So that's just a template one that we've kind of built out. We have this other one, which is Navigate. Navigate, we actually see as basically what we see is Navigate is where all of the assets from all of the blockchains kind of show up. So we have here is we have assets that we're using for border protection, for space situational awareness, that type of thing. And you have multiple agencies collaborating together. One of the ones that we have here is we have a small arms and ammunition. We're doing a little bit of, a lot of work with the Ukraine and being able to work with that in our military branches around us. And one of the things we wanted to be able to trace out in real time, if possible, we wanted to be able to see where arms and ammunition imports and exports are coming to Ukraine and out of Ukraine. Of course, this is fake demo data, but what we're showing here is a visualization as an asset shared. Then there's other agencies and other companies, commercial companies that have data that we're inputting into this visualization and then rendering it. So what's nice is I have one asset, this data. I have one asset that is a visualization. We're bringing them together to be rendered as a new asset for everyone to be able to be used. And that's kind of powerful. Just an easy, simple example to kind of show through how this would work. And we can actually trace out where ammunitions are coming from, where they're going, and who's using what. The other ones that we have too is we have some, for example, let's say we just, whoop, sorry. So the other one, was there a question? I know that the mic got, so the other one that we talked about is, let's just say you wanted to do basic data sharing. So I have a data set that I have. This is one that we use for around space situational awareness. So we have basic 2-line element data that has satellite information that's in there, and we can actually download this and use this. We can even kind of look to see, okay, I want to be able to see where this data set, who's created, what's the genesis block of creating this data set, who's used it, how many times it's been used, and where it is now. When was the last usage? We call this the spider web visualization, and it's basically looking at the asset based on its address. And I can actually use this address and look it up without using our visualization tool. I can look this up on one of the Etherscan or the Polygon testers, and I can actually trace out the exact same thing. So we're looking at every asset, everyone that's been used and where it's been used to be able to look for that. And one of the things that we can also do is, as we have these data sets to be used, we can also match make them to algorithms. So if I'm, let's say, Space Force, or if I'm NASA and I have an algorithm to be able to look for space debris, so I can look for conjunction where space debris could possibly collide into one of the satellite trajectories or orbits, I can actually run an algorithm against someone else's data set, and we call this compute to data, and then run the compute job. We've cached this, by the way, for performance reasons. But what's nice about this is it can give you a output JSON file, so you can say, okay, this satellite, actually at this longitude, latitude of these coordinates, there is a possible collision between a certain time. And, or you can say, I don't believe this compute to data. I can download the compute details that kind of got me there and can use this. Or I can actually pump this into a visualization as well in a compute to data to see this Iridium 108 satellite, where it is currently and where the trajectory might occur, where that conjunction might happen. So, and these are all the pieces of debris and satellite. Now, the only information it does not have is I think it was earlier this week or over the weekend, one of the Russian satellites broke up in orbit, it imploded. That space debris hasn't been tracked in the system yet, but we're working on that one now. So that's the only thing that hasn't been kind of put in here. And you can look at different groups for that. There's one more thing that I wanted to show, and then I'll kind of go back and shut down the demo, so not to overwhelm you. But one of the things that we're also looking at is we're looking at information that we can do digital twinning. We believe that digital twin and metaverse information is more important than anything. The reason being is that if you have metaverse information to be able to, or digital twin, let's say a supply chain or a warehouse for logistics, any of those things, if compromised, the security lapse could allow our foreign actors, your competitors, to be able to figure out everything that you have. So we put all of our objects around metaverse and for digital twinning on our private blockchain, which is Secure Data Fabric. And one of the ones that we have around that is we created, just as an example, a digital twin of Manhattan to be able to show all of the buildings that are there, be able to look at them by height, age, building class. But this information is very, very, we believe, sacred, because if someone could actually coordinate a terrorist activity using, exact digital twin information, and we believe that this is very, very top secret. But what's nice about this is being able to show an immersive or metaverse object, just sharing it just like you would share data. And that's something that we think is very, very important. All assets should be able to be exchanged between different agencies and different commercial partners as we look at some of the stuff like that. The last one I'll show is something personal. Right now, the Ukraine is, there's a humanitarian issues. We were working with a company called Restore Ukraine. A buddy of mine runs this. He's Ukrainian, and he's getting goods and healthcare supplies to the Ukraine as we speak. So he basically, one of the problems though is he's trying to get these supplies, and then he gets it into a container, and then the container goes on the vessel. Once it arrives in its port, the people that are working on it are being targeted. So the people that work for Restore Ukraine, he's lost some people, they've been killed. The containers themselves have been confiscated and taken over by Russian troops. So one of the things that we're working on, because we're invested in him from a CSR perspective, is we want to make sure that he can track his goods from, as soon as he creates a manifest, puts the supplies in, we want to see where that's going and if there's any potential issues with that. So we've kind of created kind of a mashup using some of the Customs and Border Patrol piece and the ACE system. And that's something that we also want to promote here is we're not trying to build all of the gadgets and gadgets to get everything to work together. Our number one goal is to be able to use things that are already existing and partner up together to create modules, to create some of the work that's there for this. And one of the ones that we wanted to make sure that we did was be able to look for a container, specific container with a certain manifest, and be able to trace that back out to where it is in real time. So we basically have the compute details where you can do your own data work if you don't trust to compute the data. Then we have the blob reference that actually has the manifest that shows the entire information, the vessel number, what's on it in the container, that type of thing. And then last but not least, we can also do the visualization. This visualization shows us currently right now where that vessel is, partnering up and using the APIs from Vessel Finder and be able to link that information to it. So the goal here is not to try to reinvent the wheel. If you have something that is of interest, what we want to try to do is be able to allow them to collaborate. You can trace the people that are collaborating together, and you can actually create new assets by combining your assets together. But those are, I have many, many more demos, but I know we have limited time. So what I'm going to do is just jump back to the PowerPoint and then close it out, and then we'll kind of take some questions here too. So conferences. So we would love to show this to you in person or have some conversations with you. We're always available online, so I don't want you to worry about that. You can always ping us and that type of thing. We'll put our details on the chat. But we will be speaking at the CDC Industry Day on the 28th of February. I'll be there speaking of that. On that one, we'll be talking specifically around the supply chain work that we did with UT Knoxville around monkeypox or mpox vaccine supply chain. And what's really interesting about that topic is how do you protect the people you're trying to save, but keep them private? Because they can be, their personal information based on sexual orientation or whatever could be weaponized against them. So we want to make sure that we're GDPR compliant, we can protect PII, but still we can do this work to be able to get vaccines to the people that are in need. So I'll be talking about that on the 28th. We'll be at ETH Denver. We've got a lot of cool new things we're going to be showing off at ETH Denver between the 1st and 4th of March. So if you're going to be there, please look us up. I'll be part of the crew. Shabman's going to be part of the hackathon, which Shabman's already won 2 of the hackathons is there, one in Bogota, Colombia, and one in San Francisco around some of the stuff we've done with Beacon, our blockchain and blockchain-enabled access control. And I'll be speaking for TED Talk on the 29th. And then last but not least, we'll be doing the Space Symposium on the 17th of April in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor. So we'd love to meet you wherever you are. And if worst case scenario, we'd just love to meet up for coffee and lunch. And with that being said, that's everything I have. Team, is there anything, Shabman, Kenny, Carr, Christine, anything you would like to say before I close up and take questions?
There was a question around who are our partners that's helping us making this happen.
Great question. Did you want to answer that, or did you want to try it?
I mean, I can answer that. I mean, we have a couple of infrastructure partners, as you've seen some of the blockchains support partnered with Polygon, but also from the infrastructure side, Kaleido for some of the blockchain as a service solution, and then Constellation Network as well. Gary, I don't know how much I could share, but those are the few that I feel comfortable sharing publicly.
No, I'm with you on that. And by the way, too, so a lot of the work that we've been doing, and one of the things we're going to be doing at ETH Denver is kind of partnering up with Kaleido around some cool things that they're going to be announcing as well. So that if you don't know who Kaleido is, great infrastructure partner, and they're phenomenal and great team of people to be working with as well. And let me also give a shout out to the Microsoft Entra team too. When we were doing a lot of stuff with Polygon ID and those type of things, but Microsoft Entra, for some of the demo stuff that we were working on, they were really, really good to us, and it helped us out a lot as well. Anything else? Anything else anybody was like? Kenny, I know you're pretty quiet too. You've been here from the beginning. Anything you would like to share?
No, I think you covered it, Gary. I'm just going over the questions in chat. Silvio has a couple of questions. Silvio, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys. Super interesting presentation. Like what you're doing. I think you're addressing a couple of key issues that are needed. Some thoughts that I wasn't able to see in the demo is just the digital twinning and metaverse information. That was pretty cool. Love to take another look at that, and how you're enabling different collaborations. One of the issues that I'm having right now is trying to act as an aggregator or serve as a node to aggregate different climate data around the county, the port, the seaport, the airport, the local universities, etc., to pool all the information into like one central repository, but that can be accessed by all the stakeholders. It seems like, but then on top of that could be built upon, like you said, right? So then you have new digital assets or new IP that can be used on top of that. Curious to see how this might be able to be used, or what's necessary to try to pilot some of this within our own efforts here locally, as well as to get a better idea of the demo and how that IP stacking and attribution works.
So
yeah,
I can give somewhat of an answer to this. It probably won't be the whole thing, but one of the key things that we are trying not to do is to be the aggregator and the centralized repository of the data itself, right?
Yes.
So that's the whole reason we built a federated decentralized catalog, and we do not own, or we do not bring the data in any form, but we act as the intermediary and pipe the data in using virtualization techniques, data virtualization techniques, at the just in time, right? So that has been our whole spiel, is that we don't bring the data in. So then your data is secure where it is, and we can make that connection using that catalog information in real time.
Yeah,
If
we
that
just point
makes
to
any
it.
sense.
Yeah. I just want to reiterate what Kenny's saying. Our number one goal in the beginning was no data movement, because once it moves, then we have a problem, because it could be changed, intercepted. So we point to where maybe the API service or wherever those links are, you have to have credentials to be able to get those, see those links. But once they happen, then we create, if you're going to do compute to data, we do trusted execution environments to be able to just do kind of a query, bring it together, get your answer, and then you're out. So we're doing our best to be able to work around preventing data movement, and heck, putting any asset on a blockchain just weighs it down. It's like a Christmas tree with some lead Christmas ornaments. It just weighs everything down. So we want to prevent
Gary, Ted
that
has
from
a
happening.
question.
Yeah.
I wanted to address what Silvio just said real quick around aggregation of data. I think there's a big opportunity with blockchain and oracles. Without revealing our future roadmap, we do have modules to do exactly what you're talking about, is how do you validate data coming from multiple sources, aggregate them, validate them, and show them in one spot, and make sure you don't spoof data. So Oracle, I'm not talking about Oracle, that company. I'm talking about decentralized oracles, things like Chainlink, and there's a few other oracles that will enable you to pull data from different sources and different APIs and validate them and aggregate them together. So that is part of our roadmap. So I just want to lay that out there, answer your question directly with that exact use case you're talking about.
Yeah, Ted, I know you have a question. Go ahead.
Hey, Gary, this I've been waiting for this presentation for at least seems like a month. But so you guys said you felt lost in this space.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't want to overplay my hand, but this was a fantastic presentation. You guys seem to be either I mean, you're right on mark. Who else is doing this like you guys? I've not seen it. I just want to get your take.
Yeah. So we have seen some open source type things. There's Ocean Protocol created a marketplace, and then we had a call this morning with our counterparts in Germany, where we're working with a car manufacturer, and there's an alternative to that one. Mercedes has something called Eccentric that's out there. But one of the things that we saw that was missing was the collab. That's for anonymous coming in and trying to shove things together. We thought every asset should be mixed and matched. So not just the data and algorithm, but metaverse stuff, image information, all of those things. So I think we're unique, but very quickly, we want to bring all of you on board to make it even more unique.
You're unique. My presentation a while ago kind of is, it's the tokenization of everything and the ontological view that links everything together and the collectives that form around it. Now it's real fun to operate in the entertainment space with that, which is a real thing. Immersive content in real time, embedding, veils and other things potentially for security reasons, etc. But I've not seen a presentation that was this. This is not vaporware, right?
No.
So, I mean, you guys are.
And by the way, too, it was a hell of a lot. By the way, too, one of the reasons we love this group is just saying, because Shab and Key, all of us, especially the old timers who's been on this team, we thought we were crazy for a little while. People would look at us like we were nuts, but we just knew that we had to. The focus was the mission. How do we get people, police, ICE, Coast Guard collaborating so they don't waste our time and our tax dollars and being able to actually save lives. One of those turning points was seeing those children getting killed in Texas because there was no collaboration. So we really are passionate about how do we get this into a real time where we can share and not have to rebuild things over and over. Anyway, I'm getting personal. Kenny, Shabman, feel free to push me back.
No, I mean, I just want to say, it's been lonely in the sense that people were laughing at us a year ago when we were presenting this idea, saying we were crazy and making us stop using the words Web3. I had my own internal folks, get Web3 out of your tongue, and I refused. And so here we are. And the government is now asking for Web3 blockchain in their some of their proposals. So it's great to see that we've pushed through that resistance and now things are finally turning around. And I would like to say that nobody has approached it the way we have. At least I haven't seen it in this unique sense of being agnostic to every technology. This is all open source stack, nothing proprietary. Obviously, we're building our IP with it, but it is vendor agnostic, no vendor lock-in, blockchain agnostic. So I haven't seen anybody approach it from that angle.
And we want you to join in with us too, build with us. That's kind of our thing is that if we're all building DApps, we don't want to be the standard, but we would like to make sure we can move it ahead at least. Anyway,
I think I'll say no more on this on the open channel, but I will be shopping this video around to pretty much everybody.
Cool.
And Sylvia, I'd like to coordinate with you on some things. And when we say Oracle here, and I understand there's some federated query stuff that we're looking at from sort of like the data worldwide, a decentralized focus that I'm trying to lead the charge on. So very excited about this presentation.
Cool.
And
and you're based out of DC, is that right, Tim?
I'm out of Philly, man. But if you guys are doing something in New York, get in touch. We are. There's some fun stuff happening in New York City. We got New York, we got Miami through I hope Silvio. And LA these are the hotbeds right now.
And we're partnering out with NYU too. So you'll see us up in March around NYU doing a partnership. So let's definitely get together.
I cover education as well, so I get all higher ed. So this is just really fun. So happy Friday.
By the way, go ahead, Kenny.
Come to DC. You have GMU here. You have Gerard with his Government Blockchain Association in their monthly meetings, and Ted can more easily come here to DC where I am at than I can to where Ted is ever at based on that. We're both at Oracle, but his travel budget is better than mine. Over.
I totally understand. Well, we're here to travel. We'll be seeing you. So we'll share our conferences and love to see you in person. Whatever we can do to help. Any other questions we missed on the chat, like Carr or Christine, that maybe I just didn't miss, or something we can get to?
Go
ahead.
Gary, this is not a question. This is Ralph.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm not sure this is relevant to you, but I had the obscure honor of working with the George W. Bush White House to create municipal coalitions in 7 of 17 cities to build an underground railroad to rescue human trafficking victims. The point here being is I have unusual experience with the human terrain of the rivalries between the local police force and the Fed and the FBI and Department of Homeland Security, and all of the elements are fragmented. Each one of them has a piece. One person has visas. One person knows where the victims are. One person knows blah 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 blah. If it's of useful for you to shoot me to get briefed on what it looks like from the ground level, not from the technical. I was the most successful builder of the coalitions, the municipal coalitions in this in the W Marquee project of building this underground railroad, and so I learned a lot, and I'm more than happy to just pass.
And that's a passion for all of us, by the way. So yeah, please I'll put my LinkedIn in the chat, and feel free to message me there, because that's something that's passionate, and I've had people personally that I know that have experienced that. So I'd like to do whatever I can to prevent it. I know we have, so I'm going to put my LinkedIn there. I think we have Silvio also that's asked a question. I'll put my LinkedIn.
Gary, could you talk a little bit about the standardizations and how you're, when you are, because if you're aggregating it, putting it somewhere and building on top of it, how do you figure out the standards or a format that is usable for multiple parties that might be in, either different levels?
Yeah, just sharing schemas, right? So we built this, so our goal for this was to keep it very simple. So there's not a lot of complex queries in that. That's where we want to go next. So we've kind of built hello world, like basic query. You've got data, I've got an algorithm. We already know the data is kind of set up in a basic way. And when we publish, there is a way where it basically we can physically hard code assign, these are the algorithms that work with this data set or this training data set, whatever it is. But we're still working on how can we do schemas where we can assign things to the schema, and then you can interchange quickly. But I have to be very honest, the back end of this, we kind of didn't jerry rig it, but we made sure that the queries were very, very simple in nature. So we knew that the data would work, but there's a whole complex work that we're doing on setting up schemas. I'm not sure, Kenny or Shabman, you would like to comment on that as well.
I'll throw some. I'll throw something out there really quick.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So there's like linked data standard like JSON-LD that's becoming more popular for some people building in this space. I think that's a good solution where orgs or governing bodies publish kind of standardized schemas for certain data models. I think that's probably the way forward.
Yeah, did, as we say it. Did linkage.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that falls under the W3C school of standards. So, that they're establishing a lot of these standards around DIDs and verifiable credentials and data models. So we're trying to push the industry towards that by being the first adopters. And some of these standards are at the earliest point, coming out of .1 and now just, 1.0. So we're at the earliest stages of establishing those standards. But also the other challenge here is to be part of those standard governing bodies, to be at the, have the seat at the table to ensure that everybody's following the standard. I think that is going to be the key challenge here, because blockchain can be used as a governance technology, but if everybody is on different standards, then our vision doesn't really come to fruition, right?
Yeah. I know we've only got four minutes. I just wanted to make sure we don't take all the time. Is there But we want to thank all of you for being on this call. I put in my LinkedIn, team, feel free to put your LinkedIn's in there, and we'd love to meet with you. So whatever we can do to push this forward, and thank you for being there on this call. We might be quiet, but we're definitely feeling your pain, and let's go win together. Thanks.